Hi everybody and welcome back to Junior Cycle Business Studies, and this time I'm going to go through question 17 of the State Examinations Commission sample paper, question 17. So this question involves a bit of double entry bookkeeping, an analysed cash book and a small bit of theory also. So let's start. So let's read the question first. In 2014, Karina Nyland saw an advertisement for the sale of a small hotel in West Cork. She carried out some research and discovered that tourist numbers have increased significantly due to the Wild Atlantic Way. She decided to purchase this hotel. She refurbished the hotel, employed staff, and opened in 2016 with the name Ocean Waves Hotel. Now, question A asks to state two skills that Karina needs as an entrepreneur. Now, you should know at this stage that entrepreneurs need to have a variety of skills, including risk-taking, being creative, goal-setting, people management, delegation, inner control, self-management, and reality perception. Okay, so I suppose we could take any two of those. Make sure now, going into your exam, that you have a good idea of all the different skills that an entrepreneur must have. Okay, so it says state, but I'm going to ask you maybe to explain also, maybe one sentence to explain, just to be sure that you get the marks, okay? So I'm going to write down goal setting. And what does goal setting means? This means involves planning and target setting, which helps turn a vision into a reality. And goal setting is something we should all possess, even if we're not involved in business studies. Setting goals for yourself and striving to achieve them. Okay, another skill that an entrepreneur, and Karina must have, is delegation. Now, what is delegation? This means that Karina would prioritise work and allows others the responsibility for its completion. Okay, so basically she doesn't try to do all the jobs herself. She delegates the work. So for example, if she had to do up her accounts, she would delegate that work to the accountant of the hotel. Okay, the next question, part B of question 17, says that Karina operates a small restaurant called Waves in her hotel. The government has now announced that the current 9% VAT rate for the hospitality sector will be increased to 13.5% in January 2019, and that came in the recent budget. It says to state one effect for the restaurant owners like Karina of this increased VAT rate. Okay, so this means that she will have to pay extra taxation to the government. It means that she will now have to pay 13.5 cents in every euro instead of 9 cents in every euro. Okay, as a result, this means that Karina may have to increase her prices in the hotel restaurant. Okay, so all of her food and drinks prices might have to be increased in order for her to still be able to make her profits. Okay, so I'm going to flick over here now. I've just photocopied these sheets. I'm going to flick over to part C, which is an analysed cash book. Okay, and for this you're going to need your calculator, so make sure that you have that on hand. Okay, so the first thing you must do here is to add up the totals. This analysed cash book is half done for you already, which is nice and handy. Okay, so you just must add up all of the total lines and balance it at the end. Now I'm going to explain something here in 1 second. So I'm going to add up my bank here. So 15,000 plus 3052 plus 2180 equals 20,232. So I'm going to just put that figure up there for a second. 232, and then I'm going to go over the far side and add up my bank. So it's 2943 plus 2620 plus 1750 plus 1962 equals 9,275. And I'm just going to write that up there nice and small. Now we can see that the DR side is bigger than the CR side. Okay, and the rule of thumb is in an analysed cash book you always put the bigger side in the total column. So 20,232. And over here I'm also going to put 20,232. Now the next thing I'm going to do is find the balance. Okay, so on the 31st of July we need to find the balance. So this figure in here, which means that this plus this plus this plus this plus your balance will give you 20,232. And the way I'm going to do that is 20,232 minus 9,275, which is the total of these four figures. And that's given me 10,957. So in here, I'm going to go 10,957. So now we can see that purchases plus light and heat plus wages plus purchases plus the balance is going to give me 20,232. And now both columns are balanced. We must now transfer this column, this figure, down here for the start of the following month. Okay, so this is going to be our opening balance at the start of the following month. So it's 10,957. Now, very important to add up your sales column, your VAT, your capital, your purchases, your VAT, your light and heat, and wages. Okay, make sure that you don't forget to add up the rest of your total column. So we can see that this one is nice and easy, 4,800. And this one here, 252 plus 180 equals 432. This one here is 15,000. Moving over to purchases, we can see that it's 2,700 plus 1,800 equals 4,500. Our VAT column on our credit side is going to be 243 plus 162 equals 405. Our light and heat standalone figure is going to be 2,620, and our wages are going to be 1,750. Okay, so that's your analysed cash book. Most important thing, I suppose, is to remember to add up all of the columns, okay, not just your bank or your total column. And then in order to find your balance figure, you want to find the bigger figure of the two sides. The rule is to put the bigger figure in both columns, and then you must find the balance. So this plus this plus this plus this plus your balance will give you your 20,232. And we can see that both columns or both bank columns are equal and they're balanced. Okay, so now I'm going to leave my analysed cash book close by, because the next part of this question, just make sure that you can see that, the next part of my question asks us to post all totals and balances from the analysed cash book of Waves Restaurant to the relevant ledger accounts below. 2 ledger accounts have been completed for you. Okay, so the ones that they have completed for us on our Analysed Cashbook are light and heat. We can see light and heat is done, and wages are done. So I'm just going to tick them off. We know that they're done. So we must now open more ledger accounts, one for VAT, one for purchases, one for capital. We already have one open for VAT, and one for sales. You never open a ledger account for your bank column. Okay, so just remember that. So let's start on our debit side of our Analysed Cashbook, and we can see that we must now open a capital account. Okay, so let's start with the capital account. So I'm going to write in capital account. Okay, and I suppose if you could get into the habit of remembering that every debit must have a credit, I'll write it down here. Every DR must have a CR, and also every CR must have a DR. So I'm going to label my ledger accounts DR and CR. And basically what this means is that when I am taking a figure from the DR side of my Analysed Cashbook and posting it to my capital account, it must transfer sides. So if the 15,000 is on the debit side of my Analysed Cashbook, I must enter it into the credit side of my capital account. Okay, so we can see that I'm going to start with the capital account, and we have only one entry for capital. So nice and easy, we're going to go 1st of July, 1st of the 7th, I presume we're talking about 2018, we are. And we just call it bank. Okay, and I'm going to put 15,000 under there. Okay, and after this I'm going to total up my columns. Okay, so I'm going to total them, I'm going to balance them. So we always balance our accounts on the last day of the month. Okay, in order for this to balance, I'm going to need a balance figure over here. Okay, so the 31st, last day of the month, I'm going to have balance carried down. It's going to be 15,000. Okay, make sure you have your ruler handy. I'm going to total these figures, or this account. 15,000 and 15,000. Double line underneath each. Okay, and the final thing we must do is transfer this down to the opposite side. Bring down your balance for the start of the following month. Okay, so this is going to be the 1st of August 18, and this is going to be called balance brought down from up above, 15,000. Okay, and that's your capital ledger account done and dusted. Okay, so remember now, as we move on, every DR must have a CR, every CR must have a DR. And basically, when I'm taking a figure from the debit side of my Analysed Cashbook, it must be posted to the opposite side of my ledger account. Okay, so that's our capital ledger account done. Okay, I'm just going to move on now. So the next one we might open up is, let's say, our sales account. Okay, so we have sales, and I'm going to label it DR and CR. Okay, and we can see from our Analysed Cashbook that we have 2 sales, and we also can see that they are on the debit side. So when we are posting them to our ledger account, we post them to the credit side. Okay, double entry bookkeeping, it must cross sides. So on the 7th of the 7th, 18, we have money going into our bank to the value of 2,800. Okay, and this figure is pulled from here. Okay, don't worry about the VAT now, that will be going into its own ledger account. Okay, the next one we have is the 19th of the 7th, 18, bank, and we can see that this sales figure will be 2,000. Okay, so now I'm going to total up that column. Oops. Okay, so this is going to add up to 4,800. Now, I want to balance my account, so this must be 4,800. Okay, and where did I get this figure from? I entered a balancing figure, 31st of the 7th, 18. Balance carried down, 4,800. Total them up, 4,800. And I must now bring down that figure to the far side for the start of the following month. So my opening balance for sales will be 4,800. Balance brought down 4,800. Okay, so that's our sales account done. The next one I'm going to open up is indeed our VAT account. Okay, and again, DR and CR. Okay, so let's start with our debit side in our Analysed Cashbook. So we can see that we have sales on the 7th of July and the 19th of July. And on the credit side, we have purchases, which also have some VAT on the 4th of July and the 30th of July. Okay, so going back to our rule, if it's on the debit side of our Analysed Cashbook, it must go enter into our credit side of our ledger account. Okay, so let's start. On the 7th of the 7th, 18, we have bank sales. And the VAT on this figure is 252. Okay, and the next date we have is the 19th of the 7th, 18. Bank sales, and the figure here is 180. Okay, so now we can also see, remember now it's very important only to open up one VAT account. On the credit side of our Analysed Cashbook, we have purchases, but on these purchases, we had to pay some VAT. Okay, so the VAT, because it's on the credit side of our Analysed Cashbook, now must be entered into the debit side of our ledger account. Okay, so on the 4th of the 7th, 18, we have bank purchases to the value of €243 in VAT. And then we can see that on the 30th of the 7th, 18, we have bank purchases. And we paid €162 in VAT. Okay, so we now need to skip a space because we know that there's a balancing figure going to go in there. Just going to do my total columns. Keep them nice and neat. Use your ruler if you can. Single line on top, double line on the bottom. And now, just like we totaled and balanced our Analysed Cashbook, we need to find the bigger side. So the debit side, 243 plus 162 equals 405. Now, I'm not going to put it in there yet. I'm just going to write it up here for my own use, 405. And the credit side, 252 plus 180 equals 432. Now, I can see that 432 is bigger than 405. So, rule again, 432 is the bigger figure. It must go in both sides. Okay, but now I need a figure that goes in here, because this plus this plus this will give us 432. We already know that this plus this gives us 405. But this is 432, so we need a figure to go in here. So on the last day of the month, we balance our accounts, 31st of the 7th, 18. Balance carried down. So it's going to be 432 minus 405 to find the difference. And the difference is 27. So 243 plus 162 plus 27 equals 432. Now remember to bring it down for the following month. 1st of the 8th, 18. Balance brought down from above is €27. Okay, and that will be our opening balance in our VAT account at the start of August. Okay, So the next account, we now have our sales. Can we see this? Our sales, we have our VAT, we have our capital. So that's the debit side of our Analysed Cashbook done. We now need a purchases account. Purchases. Again, I'm going to label it DR and CR. Okay. So we can see that we've purchases on the 4th and we've purchases on the 30th. And now this time they're on the credit side of our Analysed Cashbook. They must be entered into the debit side of our ledger. So the 4th of the 7th, 18, we have bank, and the purchases were to the value of 2,700. And on the 30th, the 7th, 18, we have bank, and our purchases were to the value of 1,800. Okay. So now we need to total and balance our account. Same thing again. Single line on top. Double line on bottom. Okay. So 2,700 plus 1,800 equals 4,500, and we know that the bigger figure must go on both sides. Okay, where did I get this figure from when there's nothing up here? I must balance the account. Okay, so on the 31st of the 7th, 18, balance carried down 4,500, and the final thing we must do is bring it down to the far side for the start of the next month. Balance brought down 4,500 at the start of August. Okay, so that's our purchases done. We know that we already have a VAT, we already have light and heat, and we already have wages done already. So the final thing we must do now is, using the previous ledger balances, complete the trial balance below for Waves Restaurant. Okay, now for this you need to gather up all of your ledger accounts plus your Analysed Cashbook. Okay, so now here's my Analysed Cashbook and I have my ledger accounts here. So we need to start putting these in. Now, important that you only enter in the balances, and the rule that you must stick by is that if you take the balance from the debit side of your Analysed Cashbook or your ledger account, you must put it into that same side on the trial balance. Forget about the rule where it crosses over now. If you take a balance figure from your account, it must go into the same side, the DR side, on your trial balance. If you take a balance figure from the CR side in an account, it must go into the CR side in your trial balance. So let's try this and let's see, does it balance? Okay, so I suppose the next most important thing to remember, some people always put in the balances of their ledger accounts, but they forget about the balance in their Analysed Cashbook. Okay, so always put in the balance in your Analysed Cashbook, and that's known as bank. And the figure in our Analysed Cashbook is on the DR side, and it's 109,057. Okay, so that's our Analysed Cashbook now. I'm just going to put that up there and turn it upside down. Our next one is light and heat. And we can see that the light and heat figure in our ledger account is 2,620, and it's on the DR side. So it must stay on the DR side, 2,620. Okay, our next figure is wages. And we can also see that this figure is 1,750. It's on the DR side, and it must stay on the DR side in our trial balance. Okay. Our next one is going to be capital. And we can see that the capital figure in the ledger account is on the credit side, and it must stay on the credit side when we put it into our trial balance. Okay, so that's those ledgers done. Okay, so now I must enter my sales. The sales figure is on the credit side. It must stay on the credit side in our trial balance. VAT. When we balanced our VAT account, we could see that the balance ended up being on the credit side, so it must go into the credit side of our trial balance. And the final one is purchases. And we can see that when we balanced our purchases account, the figure ended up on the debit side, so it must stay on the debit side on our trial balance. Okay. So the next thing we must do is to add up and total our trial balance and see did it work, see did it get the same figure on both sides. Okay, so let's see. 109.57 from our analysed cash book, 2,620 from our light and heat, 1,750 from our wages, and 4,500 from our purchases, and that gives us a figure of 198,027. Now this will tell a lot if this has worked or not, and let's just see now, did it work out? So 15,000, sorry, it's not 198,000, it's 19,827. So this one is 15,000 plus 4,800 plus 27 equals 19,827. And we can see that this figure and this figure are both the same, which means that our accounts have worked out. Now, I suppose the important thing for you to remember is to not panic if these two figures don't match. If these two figures don't match, maybe have a quick scan over if you have time. See, did you make a quick calculation error? But really and truly, it's probably not worth it. You know, it's probably not worth going back and spending so much time trying to find your mistake, because it could be way back in your analysed cash book, and then you have to change everything. And for the sake of a few marks, you're not going to lose that much. So what I would say is spend time learning this process, spend time practicing, ask your teacher to print off a few extra questions, and practice. I will have a few more videos up. Use these videos to guide you, and you know, you will be fine. Even if it doesn't balance at the end, you will be fine. You will be still doing really well, providing the majority of it is correct, okay? But obviously, it'll be perfect if you can get them to balance. Okay, I suppose just to recap, this question started off, long question, question 17. You will have 3 of these in your exam. A small bit of theory about the characteristics of and skills of an entrepreneur. Make sure that you know those. Make sure that you know what VAT means, okay, and what the difference in VAT means to a company, especially a hospitality sector or a restaurant, or I suppose a B&B or something like that. What does it mean for their business? After that, we are asked to prepare an analysed cash book. Now, sometimes you will have to do a little bit more work than this, but this one is fairly simplified. So make sure, I suppose, to know how to get your balance. I explained earlier in the video. And don't forget to total all the columns. Some students have a tendency to forget those ones, and they lose marks. Okay. From there, we were asked to enter these figures from the analysed cash book into the relevant ledger accounts. Okay, so the first 2 were done for us. And then we opened up a ledger account for all of our columns. So a sales account, a VAT account, a capital account, a purchases account. We already have a VAT account, light and heat and wages account. So open up all of those. Remember the rule, every debit must have a credit. Every credit must have a debit. Okay, so we opened up all of our ledger accounts, we totaled and balanced, and then we extracted to our trial balance. Remember, if you take a balance from the debit side, it must stay on the debit side for your trial balance, and the same with the credit side. Add them up. Be careful with your calculations. Okay. I'd like to wish you all the best in your exam. Keep an eye out for more of my videos. You can follow me on Twitter and ask me any questions you want, okay? And I'll try my best to help you. Okay, take care, bye-bye.